I think maybe Yunhong wants to do introduction and then you can share.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I don't have the rights to share. Oh, okay, now I do.
Yes.
Also, so let's play music.
What you do is you just peel up the cake.
All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our basic video creation class by Beautifulvoyager.kitchen herself. My name is Yun Hong, and as you all know, I am the co-organizer of this course, together with my colleagues, Jess and Gabriel. In this lesson, you'll not only learn how to plan your own video, you also get personal recommendations on all the equipment you need, including things like budget lighting, video editing software recommendations, and more. You also get to learn personal tips and tricks that you definitely can't find anywhere else, even Google. Before we begin, here are some house rules that I would like to lay down for this course. Number one, feel free to leave any questions that you like in the chat, but they will only be answered at the end of the session. Number two, do keep the microphone on mute unless you need to ask a question. And do use the raise hand function as well if you want to ask a question. And also, if you want to ask any questions, do it at the end of the session as well. In addition, you can also draw up your own storyboard towards the end of the lesson, where we'll give you some time to do so. We will send the link of the storyboard in the chat, where you can download the template and use it for your own purposes. With that, I'll now pass on the time to Beautiful Voyager Kitchen, who will then start the lesson for us today.
呢個係教你點樣影 kitchen 做 video 啊，你嗰啲 food 啊。
其實正式又影到靚咧，你點樣都係相機，後尾攞 computer 執嘅，呢啲係變唔到嘅。依家咧好多手機嘅 apps 係好強大，但係 Apple 嘅都係死嘅，所以你要攞出邊嗰啲佢哋嗰啲 external apps 啊，好似你哋啲咩美圖啊啲啊咁啊都得嘅，但係問題 我覺得 for social media 就冇問題，可以嘅冇問題嘅。
Hello, everybody. Okay, I guess everybody can hear me since everyone is on mute. Hi, everybody. My name is Pauline. On Instagram, I'm known as the Beautiful Voyager, and nice to meet everybody here. I'm gonna share my screen right now. Just give me 1 second. Oops. All right, so I guess everybody can see my screen right now. Yes, Yun Hong?
Yes, we can see. Yes.
Okay, great. Awesome. Well, just a little bit facts about myself. I'm a digital strategist by profession. I run a digital marketing agency in Singapore. I also blog on a couple of my own websites, one of which is Beautifulvoyager.com, the one that you see on the right, where I blog about my travel stories and recipes. I started my foodie account in August 2020. My current focus is on healthy recipes, air fryer recipes, as well as made from scratch recipes. Okay, so now what I'm gonna be going through today, firstly, this whole class is about how to create a recipe video. And I always believe that pre-planning is really important because that kind of set the plan of how you're gonna be creating what you want. I'm gonna share the equipment that I use, which you might want to consider using. Throughout the making of my own videos, I would like to share some of the tips that is really I think might be really useful for some of you. We're going to spend some time for you to do your video planning, and at the same time, and that's the last part, we will be doing some Q&A session if you have any questions. So basically, by the end of this lesson, you will learn the basics of how to create a recipe video. Now, so let's go to pre-planning. So I think to break it down, we can talk about the what, when, where, why, and how. Now, in terms of what you want to show, I'm sure, when you enter this class, you already have an idea that is something that you want to create, right? But I will always recommend, which is what I've always been doing, right? When I first started creating videos, is to start with something simple, something that you enjoy doing. You realize that a lot of my videos is like, I show the full process of what the ingredients are and the full process of cooking it. But maybe you want to do a video of the end result of your creation, or you want to show yourself eating the food. It's really up to you, right? But I think more importantly is that, if you're going to create a recipe video or a foodie video that you're going to show to your followers on IG, on YouTube, or on Facebook, then I think it's important that you have made it before, so you are really comfortable and confident of making it. Now, I also realized that when I prepare the ingredients, I think it always makes sense, and it always looks good, right? If they look fresh, right? I remember buying some pork, and I only cook it like 2 days later, right? And then when I show the video, to my family, they say that, oh, your pork doesn't look fresh, it looks a bit dark. Fresh pork should be pink, right? So I think it's important, right? Within the video, they look fresh. You need to ensure that there's correct measurement. Some of my recipes are my mom's recipe, and I always ask her, how much salt I put, how much flour I put, and she always say, just aga-aga, just estimate. But again, if you want to show the public your recipe, I recommend that you at least have a correct sense of measurement, as well as correct name of the ingredients. One of my video, I remember I posted on something about broccoli, but I totally spelled the broccoli wrongly, and I always have that problem. The steps, ensure that the steps are clearly shown. I do have the tendency, when you cook, you tend to just skip certain steps because, you know yourself too well, right? But again, if your video is going to be for the public, it will make sense to show your steps clearly if you want your followers to learn something from your video. All right. Okay, when are you going to shoot it? Well, of course, it's a no-brainer question, right? And I always think that, if I'm preparing something, I just quickly snap something from my phone, from my camera. But then I realized that when I'm preparing a meal for a gathering, for example, and I have a deadline, right? My family is coming at 12 p.m. and I have to complete the shooting of the video and making sure that everything looks good. You're going to stress yourself out. So I will recommend that, at least in the beginning, you should allow yourself time to prepare, to shoot, to reshoot until you're happy with the result. And of course, you also need to consider your environment, right? The lighting, if you're using natural lighting, then it makes sense to do it in the day, right? If you know that, where I stay in Pongo, there is a lot of planes flying during the day, most times, right? So I want to avoid that.
Pauline, can you just let in some people that are in the waiting room?
Oh, okay. Hold on, yeah. Okay, all right. Maybe I should make Yun Hong the co-host, so he should.
Yes.
Just give me 1 minute.
You can just give Yun Hong the hosting rights.
All right.
Nice.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so where can you shoot it? You know, I have a very small kitchen, and I found a corner where, you know, I can have access to PowerPoints, I can clear out the clutter. So I always recommend that, you know, some of our kitchen, you know, we have full of, sorry, there's a lot of echo. Yep. So we might have full of bottles of sauces or soy sauce, right? I recommend that you remove the clutter, you clean it up. And of course, you know, you might also want to see how the setting looks like in your video. I think that's really important. Okay, where will you post the video? I think, firstly, you need to consider where you are going to be posting your video, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on TikTok, you know, just to mention some examples of the social platforms, right? Because that will determine whether you're going to do it in landscape or portrait. Some of you might consider that, oh, okay, I'm going to do some YouTube video because I'm eventually going to monetize it, right? So that will actually affect your length, the length of the video, the duration, which means that if you're going to do something that's less than 1 minute, right, it might not contribute to the hours that the platform needs for you to monetize your video. If you're gonna do like a 10-minute or 20-minute video, it's gonna be very draggy, because if you're gonna show the whole process of cooking and waiting for the dish to be cooked, right? You know, it's sometimes people tend to just skip that part, right? So you might compromise on the engagement, right? So I think you need to strike a balance. There is no wrong or right answer. I think when you create the video, you need to see whether it's too draggy, but of course, considering that if you're going to monetize it, you need to keep it within a certain length, right, and not too short. Depending on where you want to post the social platform, the size and aspect ratio, right, is definitely one consideration. For example, you might want to just focus on IGTV, for example, right? So if your main focus is on Instagram, then you will want to do the portrait format, which is the 16:9. Resolution, again, it depends on the social platform, but I always produce my video in the highest resolution, right? So that at least whether your followers view it on a desktop computer or a phone, all right, it's gonna be really sharp and nice. Copyrights for using music and sound effects, right? You might notice that when you start posting videos on YouTube, right, they might mute your music background, right? And that's possibly because you're using maybe your favorite pop song, all right, and you're infringing the copyright. Later in this part of this class, all right, I'm going to show you some ideas of where you can get the music and sound effect. Also take note that if you're not using your own footages, right, you know that actually right now on the internet, you can search for free video segments of people cutting vegetables, or you can look for very nice pictures of tomatoes, of ingredients, right, that you want to use. But please bear in mind that there could be copyright issue if you're going to use all these creative things, files that is not created by you. All right. Okay. Why would anyone watch it? I think that's very important, right? When you want to create something, it's because you want to share your family recipe. You're creating something that's very beautiful that people enjoy watching. And we know that on a platform like, for example, for Instagram, it's very visual, right? If it's not pretty, people tend to just skip it, right? And when too many people skip your content on Instagram, for example, the algorithm on the platform might think that, oh, your content is not engaging and your reach will be restricted. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit more technical, right? I think we can discuss this during the Q&A if you have more questions about this. But the first few times I created, even right now, whenever I create any video, I will always share it with my close friends and my family and ask them for feedback, right? So, so this, I think, it's one big consideration of why people will want to watch your video. Always ask for feedback on how to improve and why the how to make people stick to your content. Okay, so how will you shoot it? So this is a little bit more technical. Firstly, I'm going to show you a few styles, and I would like you to think about what kind of style you want to create for yourself. We are going to go through a storyboarding process, basically sorry, there's a little bit of echo. So the storyboard will kind of structure the content of your video so that you can plan your shots, your supers, your video, your voiceover according to it. I'm going to discuss about the equipment and the props you need, as well as considering the audio that you might need. Okay, so style. Now this, for some of you who are not following my channel, so this is an example of one of my latest video, right? I will always start with the food presentation, and then I will go into the ingredients, right? And then the preparation of the ingredient. I would say that my style is a little bit more instructional, right? I tend to do a lot more close up on the food preparation, very quick run through of the cooking process, right? So it's very process driven. I don't really show my face too much. I'm a little bit shy about showing myself. Another style that I like is Fred Goes Fish and Cook. He focused a lot on seafood, right? And you will see him talking. Is a very confident presentation of himself. Very exciting about showing the process of how to cut the fish and remove the interior, right? So this is something that one of his video that he showcased on YouTube, right? And it tends to be between 5 to 10 minutes. Travel with your taste buds. This is Felicia's channel, right? So her style is a little bit more cinematic, right? Very artistic. So you see shots that's like, you know, a little bit of slow motion, not so instructional, but it's still clear of how the recipe is about. Yeah. All right. And then the last is Erica, right? Food Life Erica. So her style is very lifestyle, very, I would say it's very cute, very short, and it's not something that's too complicated, right? And I really enjoy watching it because, you know, it's I find it very entertaining because of all the pretty props that she used. Okay. Planning your storyboard. I think, firstly, let's think about how you want to structure your content. Like I say, I will always do start with the food presentation. I will showcase the ingredients, and then I will go into prepping the ingredients and then cooking it, and then finally the end presentation, right? But you also notice that the styles that I showed earlier, right? It's just somewhat similar, but also a little bit different, right? Like for example, Fred do not showcase the ingredients all at once. He talk about the ingredients that he used along the way, right? Whereas the last one, Erica's version, you don't even need to talk about what ingredients it is because it's very clear. Yeah. So that's content structure. Now, video frames, supers, voiceover, music and sound effect, I think it's easier if I show you this. Now, this is an example of the ramen eggs that I made some weeks ago, right? So you'll see that by frame, I kind of draw out, okay, the first frame, I'm gonna show my ramen eggs, right? So, so my description will be cutting the ramen eggs. I'm gonna show the runny yolk. The supers actually means the text that you're gonna show on the video itself, right? So my supers would just be ramen eggs. For this video, I'm doing a voiceover myself, right? So this is how, so my voiceover for the first frame will be, today, let's make ramen eggs. So this.
Sorry, you're muted.
Yep. So this is what I meant by storyboarding, right? So you can plan frame by frame. So this is what I used to do when I first started. Of course, right now, today, unless it's something very complicated, right? Sometimes I tend to also skip this step and improve along the way. If you're interested to watch a final video, there is a QR code below, right? You can scan it, save it, and watch it later. So at the end of this session, right, we will give you some time so that you can plan this out while we answer some of your questions. All right, so equipment. What kind of equipment do you use? Now, really, when I first started, I only have very basic equipment. I don't have the lights. I don't have the tripod. I have, of course, you know, the kitchen utensils and things like that. And I'm really using just my iPhone and hover over it and shoot the video, right? So this is actually a basic setup. Now, this is my current setup. You know, I invested a little bit of money to buy a tripod, to buy a placemat, because my tabletop is not so nice and it's very reflective. I bought some lights, and that's really all that I have. Oh, and of course, I have a microphone. So I think that these are the basic equipment that you might need, whether you're going to use a camera or a smartphone. I have been using my iPhone 11 all this while. You will need a tripod, basically to hold your phone so it doesn't look so shaky. You definitely need an editing software. I recently bought a Lava microphone that I can clip on as I talk, and it really helps to, you know, pick up the voice clearly. Of course, your kitchen utensils, make sure that they're clean and they're presentable. Again, I'm not sure whether, you know, maybe you have some very nice tabletop prints that you can use, or you can use a tablecloth. You can buy some tabletop prints. So every video you have different tabletop to showcase, and these are not really expensive, right? I bought $5. I paid $5 for a tabletop print that I've been using for all my videos. And then there are also lightings, right? I started with one lighting, and then I realized that, oh, okay, actually, I think I need a little bit more to throw some lighting somewhere else on the left and the right and the top, right? And these are actually not so expensive too. Okay, now editing software. So I have personally tried quite a number of editing software. Basically, I use my phone to edit all my videos. I think I've tried about 5 to 6, and so far the most user-friendly version that I've been using is Videolit, the one you see with the red logo on the left, right? But it does come with a cost that you have to pay with the functions that that they have, right? I find really easy to use and really user-friendly. If you are looking for something that's like, you know, free to use at first, you can also try CapCut. I've tried it. It is slightly less user-friendly than Videolit, in my personal opinion, but it's totally free, right? So CapCut, I think, is probably the next best editing software, in my opinion. Or if you have Adobe Premiere, that's also a good one to use. I think it's something that is used by quite a number of professional video editors, but I do not find too user-friendly, right? So you might want to download a few different video editing software and try it out yourself. Okay, audio. So first thing first, you need to think about which platform you want to post your video, right? Like for example, for TikTok, they have quite a good variety of inbuilt music selection. I really like some of the pop music that they have there that you can use, free. If you are posting for Instagram Reel, I know Reels is not available in Singapore, but for our friends in Malaysia or other parts of the world, if you have Reels, there's also inbuilt music selection, which is quite good. For YouTube, if you look under YouTube Studio, there is an audio library that you can use, and it consists of audio that is termed as Creative Commons, or it requires some free attribution, right? So I tend to use a lot of YouTube audio that they offer there, and they have different genre. They have like pop, funky, cinematic, calm, all kinds of different genre, and they have all kinds of different duration. Again, depending on your video editor, they might also have inbuilt music selection. But I've also noticed that some of the inbuilt music selection, when posted on YouTube, YouTube might reject them because in certain market, maybe the music doesn't have the rights for you to use in certain countries. Next point. So there are three different. Actually, there are a few different licenses, but you will most likely see things like Creative Commons. Creative Commons actually means that you can use the video, you can use the creative asset, the music or the sound effect, and you do not have to give attribution, right? Which means that it is basically free to use, right? But there are also something certain audio files or creative files that says that you need to give attribution, which means that when you post your video, you need to say this file, this music is attributed to this person who created it, and you need to offer, you need to provide the name of the original creator as well as the link back to the creator. If you're using voiceover, I suggest that you practice. Of course, if you can use a proper mic, because there might be background sound that will be picked up from your camera or your phone. Okay, some tips. In the process of making my own video, I have actually also made quite a number of spelling mistake, grammar mistake. To me, I think that's a bit it's a bit jarring, when I watch a video and I see spelling mistake or grammar mistake. One example that I mentioned before is the spelling of broccoli, right? Which is something that I always spell wrongly. While you're filming, it's also good practice to turn your phone to airplane mode. Just imagine if you are doing something that is not reversible. You are frying something and you're trying to show that process, right? And then you keep on getting phone calls coming in or messages coming in. So it's gonna disrupt your video for sure. I also like to zoom out my shots, right? Because I tend to do my videos in landscape as well as portrait format. So when you zoom it out, you show more of the surrounding, and later you can actually crop the way you want it, right? And if you are using your hands and you want to show peeling of the orange, cutting of vegetables, right? It's good practice to keep your hands clean, free of water, free of you know, basically any dirt that might come up to be not so nice in the video. I like to note down the steps and ingredients to use because many times I might create 3 videos in one go and I tend to forget what I put in, right? Because sometimes the soy sauce and the sesame oil, they are both brown, transparent, right? So how much I put, what I use, right? So it's just good to actually note down the steps and ingredients. And once you create a video, always double check again and again before you publish it. I have created some videos where I air fry 4 chicken, right? And I'm not so happy about it. And then I do it again. And this time around with 6 chicken, right? So you want to make sure that your footages that you show in the same video is consistent, right? And one example I mentioned here is 4 chicken versus 6 chicken. So when you put in 4 chicken in the air fryer, but when you open up, it should be showing 4 chicken, right? So I think that's a no-brainer. Okay, what is the angle that I tend to use? I like to use the top-down angle because then I can use it on the landscape format, right? The one that you see in the computer screen in the middle. I can also use it to make a video in portrait format, right? But that's just my recommendation. You might prefer it to be a slightly diagonal angle, and that's fine also. Okay, so I'm showing you this because this first video, there's an ant crawling. Okay, let me play it again. There's an ant crawling. So you just want to make sure that, you know, when you shoot your video, there are no insects crawling. I think it can be a bit messy or a bit disgusting, you know, if you have insects crawling around when you're preparing. The second picture, there is actually a blue tag that I placed on the white pepper, and I forgot to remove it, and it appears on my video, right? I didn't notice it until I publish it, and I watch it again like 3 days after. Right, and there was one time when I was cutting the bacon, and then I have my nail fashion, right? Two of my nails doesn't have the nail polish, right? So it's a little bit weird, and I say that I will call all this noise, right? And I try to minimize it as much as possible. All right, so I hope so far it has been helpful, and I would like you to get some practice on the pre-planning, right? So, so I think Yun Hong has sent via WhatsApp some video content. It's basically a format of the storyboard, right? And we do have some time here if you want to start doing your pre-planning, putting in some description of how you want your video to be, the supers and the sound, you can start doing it. At the same time, I think while we are doing this exercise, we can do some Q&A. So, you know, where should I be?
Oh, I think you can give them some time first, around 5 minutes.
Sure.
Then
sure.
after that, we can wrap up. Yeah.
Sure.
Oh yeah, Mabel has a question. Yeah, do go ahead.
Oh yes, hi. It was really very interesting, and I learned quite a few tips. But I thought I just want to ask, like some of the videos that I have watched, I see that you know, as the person speak, there is also a you know, wordings coming out. Yeah, so I'm not sure whether it's like a because some of the words that come out, it doesn't gel with what the person says, so it actually translated into something else. So how is that so?
Okay, are you talking about YouTube or talking about
YouTube.
Okay, yeah. So YouTube has got this thing called captions, right? So unless you upload your captions on when you do the setup, if not, the system actually automatically translate what you say into caption. And yes, you're right. Sometimes it's very weird, right? So and especially if we are talking with, say, a Singaporean accent, and the system doesn't pick up that accent. Right, I would say that so far it's about 70% accurate. And if you really want it to be, you know, very professionally done, then you can upload your caption. But I believe there is an option to remove captions. I've not tried that myself. And I would just let the system automatically pick up the caption, right? But I think I remember seeing an option to mute it. Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, it looks very distracting when I start, you know, reading the text and then listening to what the person say.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Thank you.
No problem.
We have a second question as well. Francisca asked what applications you use to make your videos. Yeah.
Okay. Videolip, yes, Videolip is a paid one. There is another one that I showed just now called CapCut. So that is free. The functions are very, very similar to Videolip. But personally, I find Videolip a bit more easier to use. Yep, I've actually personally tried CapCut. They do have some functions that is not that Videolip doesn't have, right? But personally, I don't really need those functions. But those are very good functions. Actually, you can try that out. I know quite a lot of social influencers out there uses CapCut.
Okay, so this Q&A, we have until, actually have quite a bit of time. So yeah, we can have until 12:15, sorry, 2:15 or 2:20. And after that, we'll wrap up the session. Oh, there's one more question here. So June asked, what would be ideal timing for a video when you look at uploading videos?
I tend to keep my video between 3 to 5 minutes, right? Because you know, I think people tend to get bored after watching like 3 minutes, unless it's very, very engaging. And I don't tend to show my face. I don't tend to showcase my voice too much, right? I'm a bit shy about that. So if I find that if I'm showing just the process, even the cooking, right? Sometimes the actual cooking takes 10 minutes, but you don't want to show the 10 minutes of showing the water from not boiling to boiling, right? So the cooking part, I tend to make the speed faster, and you don't want to show cutting vegetables, cutting everything, right? You just want to show a part of it. So for me, I would say that 3 to 5 minutes, right? But if you are talking, you have a lot more tips to share, right? Then I think I've seen some videos at 7 to 10 minutes. I do find it a bit too long, right? I would say that, you know, there's no wrong or right. There's no fixed formula, you know, especially when it comes to digital or when it comes to social media, right? If you have really interesting stories to tell and you're telling yourself, you can make your video slightly longer, and then you can test out different video duration and look at how much engagement rate you're getting. So you get the sense from there. Thanks, Gabriel. My voice. I'm still a bit shy about, talking. Where do I store all the videos and photos that I want to keep? Yes, so I have buzzed my iPhone a lot, right? So I've tried using iCloud, but I don't find iCloud very user friendly. Especially, basically it's not very user friendly to me. And I tried Dropbox and things like that. I find Google Drive so far is the most user friendly. Okay, so what happens is that when I shoot it on my iPhone, I can upload directly onto the G Drive. And when I upload onto G Drive, it doesn't compromise on the resolution, and that's very important. You want to keep the original resolution. And whenever you want to use it, you can use your computer, your iPad to download the same file from G Drive, right? So I think so far G Drive works the best for me. Where do I edit? I used to edit on my phone, but I find it a bit too small. Sometimes you want to see the details. So these days I edit a lot on my iPad. Where do I buy the equipment? Okay, so I believe a lot of some shops that I see in shopping malls, they do sell, those selfie lighting, the tripod. You can buy it from there. But I tend to buy a lot on online from Lazada, from Shopee, where you can compare the prices. And if you're not happy with it, sometimes you can even do an exchange for refund. Choosing a tripod. So I have 2 tripods, right? Let me just go back the slides. So I have 2 tripods. One is the one that you see here. The one that you see here. If you want to do an angle that is diagonal, this is good because you can slant your phone this way, right? I also have one where I need to do a top-down view, right? So this is a tripod come lighting, both 2-in-1, right? So this is good if you want to do a top-down view. So typically I will use 2 different tripods. If a recipe has many spice ingredients, is it better to video all these spices all in a bowl or to show each spice each step? For me, I tend to show one by one, right? I don't think there's a wrong or right answer. I think it's how clear you show it. If you're going to show all in one, then you might want to list down the list of spices that you use. If you're going to show adding in the spice one at a time, that also works, all right? In fact, that will make your video slightly longer by a few seconds. And that works also.
Okay, does anyone else have any other questions? Okay, if not, I also want to actually ask my own question of my own. Yeah, so basically, right, when it comes to video editing and uploading, there are so many social media platforms out there, right? Like, what is the best? What do you think is the best? Like, do you focus on one social media platform, or do you upload or spend your time and energy to upload on every single platform that you have?
Yeah, so every video I do is actually meant for YouTube. And so I would tend to create my video in landscape format for more than 1 minute with all the necessary, I'll use the music file from YouTube, right? But because I want to create that Instagram grid, right? Where if you look at my Instagram, I always show ingredient, the finished product, as well as the IGTV, right? So the same video, I will also create it in the portrait format for my Instagram. So, and as well as TikTok. TikTok, I just post for fun. So that's starting from YouTube, but adapted for portrait. So I think that's a good question. I think you should just focus on one main channel. And if you want to add another channel, you can always reformat the video into that particular aspect ratio.
Okay, thank you.
I find it very hard to add all ingredients. Maybe Jean, you want to be more specific. What do you mean by hard to add all ingredients? Yunho, maybe you want to unmute some of them.
Okay, sure. Give me a while. Okay, I have asked Jean to unmute already.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just like if let's say I would like to make a videos like with a very nice plate with the dish as well as the ingredients like maybe the tomatoes, chili or some dry ingredients. I just want to get the whole things in the picture. So I find that when I do a videoing, right, it actually won't see so nice, you see. And
okay. Okay. Yeah, I understand what you mean. So what I tend to do for ingredients, I took a picture. So the editing software, you can mix pictures and video. You don't have to video the every part of it, right? So for certain frames, you can play with a graphic or a picture. Does that answer your question? Okay, so Rosalind asked, what's the best time to post? Which duration has higher viewership? Okay, so you know, even being a digital strategist myself, there's always no wrong or right answer, right? The best time to post, what I suggest is consider where your audiences are, right? Actually, on my Instagram analytics, it says my best engagement time is 7 p.m. to 12 midnight. But I noticed that a lot of my audiences, right, are Singapore-based, right? And people tend to be more active on social media from lunchtime, right? So when I post something on lunch, during lunchtime between 12 to 2, I realized that the engagement is higher and people has the rest of the day to engage till evening time, you know, after work, during dinner, or up to 9 p.m. So I think that works for me, right? Again, there's no wrong or right. I would suggest that first you can follow what the IG, what Instagram insights tell you, right? If you have a business account for Instagram, you will be able to see what is the best, what is the most active time, as well as the day for your audiences, right? But you also want to consider where your audiences are, right? In my travel channel, I have travel IG also. And I find that if I post midday, 12 p.m. Singapore time, the engagement is not as good as if I post, say, at 9 p.m. or 7 p.m. Because a lot of my my active audiences are actually not based in Singapore. So I hope that answers your question, right? So which duration has higher viewership? I think I mentioned earlier that I tend to do between 3 to 5 minutes because, again, if you look at your own attention span, right? People tend not to spend more than 1 to 3 minutes on any video, right? You notice that once when you watch a YouTube video, when you watch a video, right? Anything less than anything more than 3 minutes to 5 minutes, you tend to just want to skip it or you watch it very fast, right? In fact, the typical attention span of anybody when you read an article or when you look at the picture is less than 6 seconds, right? So of course, the shorter the better. But if you want to monetize it, you can't do the video for too short time. All right.
All right. Mibo has a question as well. Yeah, she has been raising her hand. Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
yeah.
sorry.
Hey, no
Hey,
problem.
Mabel,
No
yes.
problem. Yes. I thought I would like to explore because I have not done a video shoot before, though I have thought about it. So as a beginner, the very basic thing, I mean, how do I get started? So doing something very basic, very simple, and probably what would be the most appropriate platform to start off with. And actually, I must agree with you when I watch YouTube. I mean, normally I'll watch YouTube. So if I watch YouTube, I would just go for those 3 to 5 minutes. Anything longer, I probably would not want to watch unless it's like, oh, it's some celebrity cooking. Yeah, so that's quite true. So what would be some tips that you would share if I want to start posting my very first video? Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I'm assuming that you want to post on YouTube, right?
I probably would be more familiar, but I'm not sure like what would be the best platform for a beginner. I mean the easier to start off with.
I would recommend that you consider firstly your social platform, right? I wouldn't say YouTube is easier than Instagram, right? I wouldn't say that one is easier than the other, right? It's really the process of making the video, right? And whether you're going to edit it in portrait or landscape format. If you are going to build, say for example, you want to build something on YouTube, let's assume that you're doing YouTube, right? So I would like you to think about what is your ultimate objective on YouTube, right? People tend to go to YouTube for information. It's basically a search engine, a video search engine, right? So people might want to know a very basic thing like how to cook an omelette, right? Even before I started cooking, I want to know how to cook rice, how to cook an omelette. How do I make a sunny side up egg perfect? You know, it can be something very, very, very simple. So start with something simple, not so complicated, not so many steps, right? Because all you need to do is to just get the hang of creating that video. So think about a very simple topic, very simple steps of how that recipe is. And assuming that if you're going to do it on YouTube, it has to be a bit educational, right? As I say, people tend to look for information out there. Then I would say just get started. You know, basically when I start doing this, right, I didn't even consider the lighting. I didn't consider how ugly my tabletop is. I didn't consider that, oh, when I shoot the video, there's a very big reflection. You will see some of my earlier videos is like, it's horrible, right? But once you start doing it, you start learning and start getting a hang of it. And then you know that, okay, so for the next one, I'm going to do better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So I think in terms of the equipment, I would say don't get so worried about that, right? I would say as long as you have a phone or a camera, you can start doing it. You can consider lighting and all this later. You know, if you enjoy doing it, you can start to look at, okay, how do I make it better?
All right. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks.
No problem. Yumi has a question. If I want my food video like tasty style, just music, top-down angle and specific, is CapCut okay? Yes, that's definitely okay. CapCut basically is a video editing software that you can use to create any kind of video. Cindy asked, different video format will have different file size. Would it affect the streaming? No, the streaming is actually affected by the user's internet bandwidth. So it wouldn't affect the streaming. Yeah. Lillian asks, what will make a video stand out among the many videos of the same recipe? So when I started this, my friends were telling me that, hey, so many people doing videos already, but I didn't start with the aim of, I want my video to stand out. I started doing it because I want to remind myself of the things that I cook, right? Because the next time I cook my nonya achar, I don't remember what I put in, right? And when you look at recipes out there on the internet, everybody say different thing, right? But I want to use my recipe that I made it the first time and I like it. So that was my objective, right? So I would say, don't worry too much of how you're going to make your video stand out. But if you're really very serious about, okay, I'm going to do this YouTuber full time, right? Then I would say do some research, right? So for example, if you're going to make an egg fried rice, okay, search for egg fried rice and see how people do it, right? Consider your style. Style, it could be a very friendly, very family style. There is a particular video YouTuber that I like. I find very interesting, right? Because she will always start with just this part and this part. So she'll be wearing her red lipstick and she has red fingernails, right? And then she will show herself eating, but you don't show the face. You only see from the mouth to here. Then from there on, right, after she showed her eating with the red lipstick and red nails, and then she started the cooking, right? But it really catches people's attention. So I would say you can think about the style that you like, actually, other than doing that particular, creating that video, there's also a lot on how you can optimize the video to ensure searchability of your video. But that's, I think, getting a bit more technical in terms of helping to do optimization of your video posting.
Okay, all right. So with that, we have come to the end of the class. Pauline, you want to wrap up or have anything else you want to say before we?
Yes. Okay. So I'm not sure how many of you have done your storyboard. If you want me to help you take a look at your storyboard, you can text me on my Instagram. I'll be happy to throw some ideas. But I've also done a video editing tutorial, basically on how to use Videolip to create the video. I'll show you how to use the different functions. So this is the QR code to the video link. But if you're using CapCut, not to worry, because the functions are pretty similar, right? Just that for CapCut, there are certain features that is not available in Videolip, right? So you can still refer to this video tutorial and you can try it out with CapCut. That's not an issue.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Pauline, for your time today. Okay, so just a few things that I want to add from my side. Yeah, we can feel free to share your completed videos in our WhatsApp group. And you can also share some of your completed dishes on the Urad app if you're interested. It's both available on the App Store and the iOS, and it's free to download. Yeah. So we have another class at 3:30. For those who have signed up, do look forward to that as well. And with that, we've come to the end of the class. Thank you so much for attending, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.